and welcome to episode 22 of Cold Case Christmas. In this episode, we're going to explore a strange disappearance. An 18-year-old young man went to a graduation party in rural Kansas, and sadly, he never came home. On April 16th, 1988, Harold and Alberta Leach reported the disappearance of their only son, and since then the search has been on for Randy Leach. This is the story of the young man who went to a party and was never seen again. In 1988, Randy Leach was a senior at Linwood High School. He was a good student, he got A's and B's, he was athletic, and he was a well-liked student at his school. He was the only child of his parents, Harold and Alberta. He weighed only 4 pounds when he was born. He was a survivor, he had to be, but he grew up into a handsome, clever, and compassionate young man. He loved spending his time with family and friends. He had a bunch of animals. They lived on a 10-acre farm. He had dogs, he had chickens. He had a pig at one point called Pork Chop. And on April 15th, 1988, he went to a party doing nothing different than any normal teenager would do. But it changed the life of his parents, his family, and the wider community forever. So what happened? He left his home about 6:45 p.m. on April 15th, and he was going to a high school pre-graduation party in West Bonner Springs in Kansas. He said goodbye to his parents, and Alberta recalls that he seemed happy, he was in a good mood. His dad had just bought him a new lawn tractor the day before, and Randy liked doing work on the farm, so he was pleased about that. He was driving his mother's grey 1985 Dodge 600 sedan. So after leaving home, Randy headed to his cousin's house about 7 p.m. And then Randy and a friend drove to DeSoto to visit a body shop, and this was around 8:30. Where his red 1966 Ford Mustang, which was to be Randy's graduation gift, was situated. Around 9:30 p.m, Randy stopped at Stout's convenience store to purchase some items. 2 candy bars, 2 bottles of soda, and $3 worth of gas, so just enough to, get him around that night. It's not clear if he was alone or not. However, he bought 2 candy bars and 2 bottles of soda, so 2 of each item. So the fact that he bought 2 kind of indicates that there's someone in the car with him. Maybe the same friend that he visited the DeSoto body shop with, we don't know. But around 10 p.m, he was seen at a bonfire party in West Bonner Springs. The party was huge. It had anywhere between 45 and 150 people. Reports were that he didn't appear to be drunk or intoxicated. Others mentioned that as the night went on, he did seem intoxicated, although he'd never been seen with a drink in his hand. So had someone spiked him? It's possible. At around 1:30 a.m, one of Randy's friends, called John, offered to drive Randy home. Now, this potentially indicates that Randy was intoxicated and maybe friends thought he wasn't safe enough to drive. However, it's alleged that Randy couldn't find the keys to his mother's car and he started to look for them. So presumably John was going to drive Randy's mother's car and Randy be the passenger. But while Randy was searching for these keys, John left to take some other partygoers home first, or maybe John was doing the decent thing and making sure that people got home safely. Randy was reportedly last seen at the party between 2:05 and 2:15 a.m, so that would be April the 16th. And he was spotted waiting in line to use the restroom. At 2:30, John returned back to the party to pick up Randy and take him home. But both Randy and the Dodge 600, his mother's car, were gone. So presumably Randy found the keys, realised John was not there, maybe thought John wasn't coming back, so decided to drive himself. Well, that was a huge mistake. At 6 a.m, so this is now April 16th, Alberta, Randy's mother, woke up and realised that Randy had never come home. He had a curfew. He wasn't quite 18. Reports say that he was 18, but he was nearly 18. All right, and he had a curfew, 12:30 a.m. And he usually adhered to it. He was a good lad. Randy's parents searched the house. Alberta called her brother, Randy's uncle, who was an officer with the Lawrence Police Department. He went out to the property where the party had been held to search for Randy, but things had been cleaned up. You know, whoever was left at the party had cleaned up the scene, and Randy was nowhere to be seen. So a missing persons report was filed with the Leavenworth County Sheriff's Department. This is something that hopefully at least doesn't happen these days. They were told to wait 24 hours because, you know, he's a big lad, he might come home on his own. So the search didn't officially start until the next day. And it was then, April 17th, that officially the missing persons report was filed and searches began. So the Sheriff's Department tried to find out who was at the party, and they managed to interview some people, and that's why we know roughly the timeline of events. The fact that Randy's car, his mother's car, was gone suggests that he'd driven it away sometime after 2:15 when he was last seen. But no one actually saw him leave. And by the time John got back to drive him home, he'd gone. Some people at the party said that a man called Robert had Randy's keys. So did Robert drive the car? Or did Randy get the keys off Robert and drive away on his own? We don't know. Now, over the years, there has been a lot of theories and suggestions about what might have happened to Randy. They go from the slightly wild theories of satanic abuse and that Randy was sacrificed, to foul play, as in someone had abducted Randy and driven him away in his mother's vehicle and murdered him somewhere. There's more down to earth, I think probably more likely scenarios in that Randy was intoxicated and he had an accident. But if that's the case, where's the car? In any of these cases, where's the car? There's also been a lot of talk about the investigation not being very thorough in those early days. It's always a mistake to wait 24 hours. I know that's something that was always said in the past, and I really hope that sheriff's departments and police departments don't do that anymore. Apparently, it took the sheriff's department 5 weeks to search the property where the party had been held. And when Randy's uncle went there on the morning of the 16th, things had been cleaned up. So if anything untoward had happened at the party, and there's no indication that it had, but if it had, then there was no evidence. There was no evidence to be seen. And if foul play had been involved and Randy hadn't have left that party of his own accord and he was driven away, then any evidence of that has long since gone. Randy's parents hired a private investigator because they felt that the sheriff's department wasn't moving quickly enough. And they set out to publicise their son's disappearance. They put up flyers across Kansas and Colorado, Colorado being a state that Randy enjoyed travelling to. And they conducted their own searches. The sheriff at the time, Terry Campbell, defended the sheriff's department, writing in a letter, "The Attorney General's office has not found flaws in our investigation, nor has any other professional law enforcement agency found flaws or a solution to Randy's disappearance. Mr. Leach must realise that unlike TV cop shows, all mysteries are not solved." And that is true. Cop drama shows give an unrealistic portrayal of how police investigations actually work, but at the same time, I can see just how frustrated his parents must have been if they didn't feel that places were being searched early enough or adequately enough. But searches did go out on waterways, ponds, lakes, to try to see if Randy had run off the road somehow and him and the vehicle had gone into water. In March 1989, a severed foot in a tennis shoe was found on the banks of the Kansas River by someone Randy had known and a friend who'd been at the bonfire party. Authorities scoured the area for other remains but didn't find anything else. But it was concluded that that was not Randy's foot and it wasn't connected to the disappearance. Some people said that Randy might just have left of his own accord and to start a new life. Now, Randy's parents and people who knew him said that that was highly unlikely, that Randy was enjoying his life, looking forward to graduating high school. So there's no evidence that he just ran away. There's no evidence that his parents did anything to him, which was another thing that kind of did the rounds. Lots of rumours, lots of theories, but nothing concrete. The popular dive team, Adventures with Purpose, with now disgraced leader Jared Lysek, did a bunch of searches for Randy in waterways around the area, and they didn't find anything either. There is a Facebook page for Randy called In Search of Randy Leach, and the last entry was in December, just a few days ago. Alberta and Harold celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary on December 16th, 2020. Harold passed away a month later. Sadly, most of their married life was spent searching for their only child. Not a typical marriage, but they loved each other and supported each other as they searched day in, day out for Randy. This picture is not a typical Christmas card, but it shows the love they had for one another and also shows how they carried Randy in their heart. He was never far from them. Please send Alberta your love and prayers as she continues on alone for her search for Randy. Please send her a note of Christmas cheer, as this journey is not an easy one and she needs our support. We love you, Alberta. We will never give up. So Alberta is now on her own, still hoping that one day an answer will come as to what happened to her only child at almost 18 years of age, Randy Leach, who went to a party like many thousands of other teenagers do, and he never came home. I'm not going to play this because it's got music that I think will probably be copyrighted, but there's a short little clip here, just a minute and a half, of Harold Leach, Randy's dad, talking about him, and it's really sad. So I'll leave a link to this in the description box so you can play it yourself. But if you do have any information on the case, you can call either the Leavenworth Sheriff's Department or the Kansas Bureau of Investigation at 1-800-KS-CRIME. So where is Randy and where did the car go? Hopefully one day Alberta will get an answer as to what happened to Randy Leach. Okay, let me know your thoughts on this unusual case in the comments, and I'll see you tomorrow in the next episode of Cold Case Christmas. Bye guys.